And welcome back in, everybody, to a new episode of the Cherry Heat Check. This is a New Mexico Lobos basketball podcast. It is December 30th, 2025. Lobos will be playing in Boise State tonight at Extra Mile Arena versus the dreaded Boise State Broncos. It'll be the latest game of the evening, tipping off at 9 p.m. Mountain Time. This evening will be on Fox Sports 1 national TV coverage for the game. A lot has happened since I last came on here. The Lobos winning their first conference game over San Jose State last week by double digits. The Lobos losing their athletic director on the 29th of December, that being yesterday. Fernando Lovo exiting to Colorado after just 13 months. I'll give my thoughts here on that at the beginning of the show. So if you don't want Fernando Lovo thoughts, skip through the first 10 minutes and I'll get into all basketball there. But I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas and you're ready for the new year. I have had a good one here with my family, ate too much, got too many good things. My refrigerator has not been working since Christmas Eve, so I've been eating a good amount of processed foods. So if my energy is low here, please forgive me. I'm doing my best as we get into it here. As I mentioned, Fernando Lovo is exiting after his 13 months at the University of New Mexico, set to take over at Colorado in the same role. He will be making a new salary there of 1.2 million annually with a base of 600,000 and 600,000 in media obligations. And my understanding is that current athletic director at Colorado, Rick George, will be staying in place as well for a number of months, and the two will be working side by side to get Lovo all set there. Um, as we know, Lovo did accomplish a good amount in his short tenure in New Mexico, of course, navigating the Bronco Mendenhall departure, the Jason Eck hire, along with revitalizing New Mexico football and attendance this year. And then, of course, Coach Eric Olin being hired after Richard Pitino made the exit to Xavier back in March. So that, along with other Mountain West titles in other sports such as track and field, cross country, are all things that I guess he should get credit for. But I don't know um, if any AD that came in here at the same time that Lovo did after Eddie Nunez exited and went to Houston, if any AD that come in wouldn't have made similar moves. Everyone knew the emphasis on football needed to be upped. Lovo did that. Of course, having a charismatic coach, a team that actually won football games going undefeated at home, will help be a good product. But the little things that he did, such as giving away free tickets to kids, families, and other events, I think were good ideas, but nothing that um, no one else was already thinking of that could have been done and wondering why those same ideas were not implemented at New Mexico seasons before. But I think the team that Fernando Lovo had around him at New Mexico that was already in place, others that he brought in, really allowed him to excel in his time there. And am I surprised that he's going to another school? I would say I'm not surprised due to, his age and just what looks to be his rise now in college sports. But I'm surprised at the timing, as did not see it coming this quickly into his tenure at New Mexico. And then he just being at the bowl game of the football team, the Rate Bowl last Friday in Phoenix, he being present there and then hearing this news first on Sunday night being reported. Just very disappointing as a fan, but as a man, I can totally understand why he made this decision. The oddest part is that we just have not heard from him us being the Lobo community, Lobo fans. Um, he has not put out any type of statement on the internet, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, thanking anyone at New Mexico or any of the fans or anyone that he spent time with. And I find that really odd since he's already put out a video wearing his new black and gold for the Buffs and making a new promo video already with his family and his new job before even saying anything to the people in Albuquerque, I think is just a little off base. If you look at what Nunez did upon his exit, although a very, I guess, different exit since his tenure was much longer and maybe more expected than that of Lobos. Eddie Nunez put out a very nice letter on the internet thanking every Lobo out there. And then he was thanked in return by the UNM Lobo Letterman Club, the Lobo Club, the donors, his colleagues, others that he worked with. And today did not see any of that for Fernando Lovo. Um, so I find that very odd that no one is thanking him and that he is thanking no one on his way out. So I do not think he will be tough to replace with the athletic department being in a fairly good position in the new Mountain West, but not hard to see why someone would use New Mexico as a stepping stone at this point if they do have success at the school, just with the Mountain West Conference being weakened with all the schools that will be exiting after this season. I can just see the Mountain West now being looked at a totally different light by everyone involved there and those trying to leverage New Mexico jobs for other jobs will probably be more likely to do so more now than ever, even though we've seen a lot of that happening in big jobs at New Mexico just over the past um, 18 months. Well, that could fill the interim AD role. I think there's more than enough capable three people that come to the top of the mind. Here are UNM Associate AD Amy Began, who was a basketball player at New Mexico, has been in the athletic department for a number of years, overseeing compliance as well as these coaching searches, athletic department head searches that she's all been a part of. Along with her for this wild ride has been UNM Deputy Athletic Director Jalen Dominguez. He was a basketball player at New Mexico State, has served in the athletic department at New Mexico, overseeing donor gifts, revenue sharing, NIL, financial giving, things of that nature. So his experience is great. And then Ryan Berryman, who is a Lobo graduate, was a manager under Steve Alford on the basketball team. Served a number of years in the athletic department before going over to Washington, where he served as chief financial officer in the athletic department there for a short period of time before coming back to New Mexico last March to be under Fernando Lovo. So these are just a few people who I think could fill the interim role in the meantime. And I think the interim role could be a lengthy one, as the president of New Mexico, Garnett Stokes, is set to exit in July of 2026. And this was announced in September of 2025. So with her exiting, not until the summer of 2026, one would wonder if the university, the regents, would be waiting to hire a new athletic director once a new president is in place, thus keeping interim athletic director in place until that time. So those are just my thoughts. I could be completely off base with what their plans are, but I think it will be a while till they hire a new athletic director. But when they do, some people that I've been thinking about today who I think may be at the top of the list, former Hawaii athletic director Craig Angelos, who oversaw Hawaii becoming a full Mountain West Conference member, also oversaw Hawaii getting a better TV contract and renewing their Nike contract before he was let go from Hawaii in a weird, bizarre turn of events, which many felt were unjust, including many athletes who were standing up and protesting for him not to be fired. But he is now a free agent. Two guys that were candidates for the UNM job in the past when Eddie Nunez was actually hired, one being Tom Michael, an AD out of Eastern Illinois, and the other being Dwayne Peavy, the current athletic director at DePaul. And then someone who I was just researching, who you never know, this is my long shot. This is Marcus Sudbury. He's a deputy AD at Wisconsin currently. So enough with the athletic director talk. We will get back into basketball, where the Lobos won their first conference game last week against San Jose State, defeating the Spartans 88-65, a game again where the Lobos came out cold, not scoring a lot of points in the opening minutes. Kobe Garland for San Jose State going off early and often. He finishing with 27 points, going 5 of 8 against the Lobos, and Melvin Bell Jr. Also leading the way for the Spartans with 12 points for him. UNM still able to eke this one out without Chris Howell and Tomislav Bojan playing. Bench play was big in this game for New Mexico, and I'll get into that in a second. But if we look at the starters in this win, Jake Hall leading the way. Lobo's leading scorer this season had 18 points in the game, 3 rebounds. In the backcourt with him, Dayton Albury, 10 points, 7 assists in this game, 5 rebounds for Albury, big rebounds with Bojan out. Antonio Chol, 9 points in this game, disappointing, 0 rebound game for him, someone who I've mentioned in almost every episode who needs to be on the glass more. Luke Hopp coming up big in this game with 27 minutes, stepping in good for Chris Howell, coming up with 4 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. And then big man JT Rock, the transfer from Iowa State, getting his first start of the season in 23 minutes, coming up with 11 points, 5 rebounds for JT. He continues to play strong. Uriah Tenet leading the way, really off the bench with Milos Vicentić in this one. Tenet with 11 points, 4 assists, and Vicentić, Milos 3 Centich, as I will be calling him the rest of the season, had 3 3-pointers in this game, 19 points off the bench for Vicentić, shoots the ball with confidence, came over with Coach Olin from UCSD, where he only played 20 minutes last year, getting injured in their first game. So you feel good for this grad student, mature young man, made the most of his minutes. To Javis Miller, finally finding himself back on the court, played 15 minutes, knocked down 2 threes, and had 3 rebounds. But the bench in this one coming up huge, 36 points in total, and they will need all of these guys to play big versus the Broncos, who, as I mentioned, they'll be facing tonight. Broncos coming in at 8-4 on the season. That loss in Reno to Nevada by double digits. And if we look at the initial injury report that came out last night, we look at New Mexico. Kevin Patton Jr., who's been out for personal reasons, will be out again, it looks like. Have to wonder if he will ever return to the team. Chris Howell will be out again, that being a key loss versus physical Boise team. And Tomeo Pones is now also listed as out, the freshman. Questionable. Tomislav Bojan finds himself questionable again, where he was also listed prior to the last game, hoping he will be able to play double-double machine for the Lobos and need his presence on the road here. For the Broncos, Javen Buchanan is listed as questionable. Julian Bowie, I believe, is out for the season. And looking at Coach Leon Rice's team here, Dylan Andrews, who came over from UCLA, is now the starting point guard, filling the void left by Alvaro Cardenas. Andrews has been solid so far this season, averaging about 4 assists a game. His shot selection, though, at times has been a little shaky. Um, so he probably not playing as big of a role, I think, as he thought he would have been coming over from UCLA. But Javen Buchanan playing a bigger role this year. He was the sixth man of the year, along with um, Mustafa Amzil last year in the Mountain West. Andrew Meadow, another forward for the Broncos, shaved off his hair, took off the glasses also, but he is a big man that will shoot from the corners, crash the glass, look for this 6'9" forward to affect the game. Another big man for the Broncos, RJ Keene, a leader, defensive pest on the court, good rebounder. Look for RJ Keene to affect this game as well. And then on the wings for the Broncos, Pearson Carmichael, sharpshooter, sophomore, um, capable of going off for 20 points, also capable of going off for 5 points if he's not doing much. Big man down low, transfer from Georgetown coming over this year. Drew Fielder has been good for the Broncos so far this year. He stands at 6'11". Joining him down low has been a freshman, Spencer Aarons. He comes in being a 6'9" forward who likes to stretch the floor, and he right now is averaging about 6 points a game. Drew Fielder being the leading scorer so far for the Broncos at about 14 points a game, followed by Andrew Meadow at 12 points a game and Javen Buchanan at over 11 points a game for the Broncos. So far, leading rebounder has been Fielder as well, but Buchanan also around 5 rebounds a game, and RJ Keene coming off the bench with 5 rebounds a game as well in 22 minutes. So look for Broncos to really try to slow down this game, limit the Lobos' possessions, and limit the amount of times they turn over the ball to New Mexico, coming in with a much slower pace nationally than the Lobos right now. Lobos want to get more possessions so they can get up more shots, get to the free throw line more, is where they've really been living the last few games. Boise State, though, being at home, this being a bounce back game for them, coming off that loss to the Wolfpack, look for Coach Leon Rice to have this team ready. So Lobos will have to hope that Boise State goes on one of their offensive cold streaks, which they're more than capable of doing, only scoring 66 points in their previous game. But Boise State right now sitting ahead of New Mexico in the overall net rankings nationally. Utah State, the top team in the conference, sitting at 19th in the net rankings nationally on the 29th of December when I looked at this. Boise State sitting at 47th, and the Lobos at 55 right now, followed by Nevada at 71 and Colorado falling all the way to 74 after getting smacked by Utah State last week. So look for New Mexico to be prepared for this road game, as they showed against VCU on the road. They're able to go into a hostile environment, keep their cool, play a tough game down the stretch. Even though that game was hideous down the stretch, they got the win. So I think the Lobos have the maturity, the skill to do so. The question is, will they have the bodies with Bullion still being questionable? I don't know if the Lobos will be able to pull off the win over Boise without him. Will be interesting to see, as the Broncos currently sit at about 5 to 6 point favorites in that game on the Vegas books. But if we look at the other games from around the conference tonight, we got Wyoming at Air Force, Utah State at Fresno, Nevada at Colorado State, which is a fantastic matchup, San Diego State, who lost to Arizona about a week ago and then won against a Division II team, I believe. In the meantime, will face off against San Jose State in San Jose, and then the Lobos will round it out with that late night game, being 8 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Mountain on Fox Sports. Looking forward to it. Okay, I will cap off this show here with a little recruiting news. It's actually some big recruiting news. Uh, Class of 2027 commit Tavid Johnson has signed with New Mexico, listed as the number 6 ranked player in the entire state of California in his class and the 13th ranked shooting guard nationally. He stands at 6'2". Previous game just a couple of days ago for Francis Parker High School, just put on a show with 45 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and 0 turnovers in their 8-point win over St. Ignatius out of Ohio. And he started the game with 20 points in the first quarter alone. So the Lobos getting a big time score 2 years from now in 2027. Big name commit. Believe he is listed at a 4-star ranking on the recruiting site. So very excited for this. Hopefully we can hold on to him for the next year and a half. But he will hopefully soon be donning the cherry and silver, and very excited about this one. Another Californian that's got some recruiting attention from the New Mexico Lobos here is the brother of Jake Hall, that being Dax Hall, 6'1" guard out of the San Diego area, also getting recruited by the likes of Dartmouth, Columbia, and UCSD. I did watch a little bit of his film, and he seems to play very similar to his brother Jake, but standing a few inches smaller. Big time scorer is Dax Hall as well. So very cool news. Would be awesome if he ends up being a Lobo as well. All right, and with that, I will wrap the show. Thank you everyone for listening, tuning in, subscribing to the Cherry Heat Check. I will be back to dissect the Lobos game versus Boise. That'll take place tonight, the 30th. So thank you for hanging in there with me, and I wish everyone a happy and healthy new year here as we get into 2026, and I will catch you all on the next one.